Once the decision was made to build the Transcontinental Railroad, the question then became how to do so. There are a number of ways that the federal government helped to subsidize the creation of the railroad. One of the major ways was known as land grants. Essentially what would happen, the government would grant a mile worth of land on either side of a potential railroad track and just give it away to the railroad companies for free. In fact, once the land grant system was in place, it's estimated that about the amount of land equivalent to the size of Texas was just given away to the railroad companies for free. Why was this done? There's a number of reasons why. If you give the railroad companies about a 2-mile pathway of land, that kind of sets the route that the train has to run through. So that way the government can control where the railroad starts and ends to some extent. The second reason is that that land was given away to the railroads so that the railroad companies could then go and sell the land, which would help pay for the tracks to go through the territory. The railroads could also set up little towns, which then they could charge rent, typically along the railroad lines at the railroad stops. The second thing that the government did to help promote the creation of these railroads actually has nothing to do with the railroads. It's called the Homestead Act. The Homestead Act is where the government would give away free land to settlers if they decided to live in that territory for some certain amount of time. I believe it's about 10 years. But the point is that the settlers would move out west and then they'd be forced to use the railroads. Also, by having settlers out west, you're creating a new national marketplace. You're growing the West. More people are going to be farming that territory. They're going to be mining those minerals and getting them into the factories into the East. It links the countries together into what's known as a national marketplace. And lastly, by getting the railroads into the West, the farmers will now have access to the rail lines and access to ways to get their products back and forth across the country, helping, one, to create that new national marketplace, but also helping us tap into those rich, fertile farmlands of the Great Plains, which had no river access, which means there was no real way to get a large amount of products to the rest of the population out east. So this land subsidies, the Homestead Act, and then just creating this national marketplace were all ways that the government helped build this transcontinental railroad.